Yeah, hi folks. Now, today I want to cover Grant Edwards' great interview with New Zealand lawyer Liz M. Lambert on his Liberty NZ podcast regarding a leaked document which kind of shows why we're seeing so much money going to Maori these days. Now, I've recorded the entire 1 hour 40-minute interview and put it on my channel for everyone to listen to. So I put a link to that video along with a link to Grant's podcast in the description below. Anyway, I'll start this off today with the last part of his interview.
So this so-called crown, let me just get this right because I sort of got a bit lost. So it's not a physical person. It's not the Queen. It's a company.
No.
No?
Yeah.
It's a company.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Right. And so the Governor General is the Governor General of a company.
Is even right. It's called Crown Law.
Oh, that's a company.
Yeah.
Incorporated. Crown Law.
Crown Law is the law firm for the Crown.
Okay. And
they
what about Lady Crown?
Yeah, now my next clip will be about Lady Crown.
When we want to get some right heard, right, the Crown lawyers always oppose us. This is why it's so darn hard to get any justice within the public law system, because we've been arguing with a company that is not there for our benefit. It's there to make profits for its foreign owners.
Make money and trade globally, internationally.
Yeah, yeah.
So where does Lady Crown fit in all this? What about poor old Lady Crown?
Oh, I don't know. She's got the tattoos and everything.
Oh, body desecration.
I think she might still be in Australia.
Okay. Does she have a barcode on her chin as well?
A barcode on her chin.
Like the other one? You want me to cut this out because it does sound a bit racist, don't you think, Liz?
It does. It does. We'll cut that bit out.
Cut that bit out. I'm becoming a racist. Never used to be.
Look, I was so, I was so not gung ho. I was never arguing for unfair causes or anything like that. But I was totally convinced. Yeah, that there'd been a wrong done, and they were entitled. And
do you think there has been a wrong done?
In a lot of cases, a right has been done and it's been overdone.
Overdone or over? Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Put right, but overdone.
When
where have you? Have you gone to the wash house or something? You're not in the bedroom anymore.
Yeah, back again.
Yeah.
I don't know
what was that? You talked about Lady Crown, and then.
But has a wrong been done?
Yeah, has a wrong been done?
I don't think so. In a lot of cases.
Mm.
In terms of land, like we were talking about the large purchase of the New Zealand by the New Zealand company that then basically was recompensed for it by the settler government.
The Colonial Office.
Yeah, like it was a settler government at that stage.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't really a settler because they hadn't brought the settlers in at that stage, but it's 1840.
Yeah. The New Zealand company was bankrupted in 1847, wasn't it?
1847, yeah. Yeah, they did do something like that. I think in what's called the New Zealand Company from COMPANY.
Well, it looks like we've lost you there, Liz. My name's Grant Edwards. You're listening to Liberty NZ on Podbean. we were discussing with Liz a document that was leaked to Liz around about the end of last year, 2020, and it was put together at Waitangi and taken, hand-delivered to Wellington to the Justice, what do you call it, Chief Justice, or would that be Winkleman, what she is? She Solicitor Justice, or I don't know what she's called, Chief Solicitor or something, I don't know. And the Governor General, and who else? And Jacinda Ardern. They've all sort of witnessed this document, and it was an order ordering the government to do certain things, and some of the things were actually quite good. But the scary thing is, if this is a genuine document, and Liz certainly believes that it is that the Maori nation have a lot more control over New Zealand than we realise, and that would probably explain why the government is doing what they're doing, appeasing Maori at the moment, and doing all these things that you would think were absolutely crazy. And it's because possibly that Maori actually have the government over a barrel.
Yeah, so in other words, they're extorting money out of the government. And that's the real reason why Lee Williams got cancelled. He was exposing their rort. Now, much of what Lady Crown says is covered by Liz and Grant.
So they're imposters, they're fraud, they do not belong in our country. And they then the Governor General clearly said that he hadn't sworn an oath, and he started to quote the 1986 Constitution Act, which is where he gets his authority from, which is an act. So they're just actors. So the Queen's just gone. We didn't know. So we didn't have to worry about severing any cord with the Queen. It had already been done. She did it herself. What we did come to find out now, so here we are, we're the only Crown standing.
This is the other part of it, and this is the other really huge part of it, isn't it? That the people who are running the government of New Zealand, whom I think most people in the world imagine is connected to the Crown, that is, the English Queen, that is Queen Elizabeth. That is not really true. The people who are running the government of New Zealand are actually this corporation. Did you want to tell us the name of this corporation again, Lady Crown? What exactly is it? Because it is so misleading, isn't it? And perhaps this is the core of the deception over here, because people think there is a Queen of New Zealand.
You can Google it. It's very easy to find. It's Her Majesty, the Queen in Right of New Zealand, CIK number 0000216105.
Her Majesty in Right of the Queen of New Zealand Corporation.
Corporation. And they're getting their authority from a piece of paper, a corporation registered in the United States, Washington, D.C. So when you have a treaty partner that's vacated and there's only one treaty partner standing, under even their acts, if you look at their acts, the demise of the Crown is that all the functions and everything that goes with it are to be transferred to the Crown. The only Crown, or the successor standing is the Crown of the Māori Nation.
So when this happened, and the person who spoke to the Maori Crown over there is someone from the Governor General's office, did he give an indication as to when this happened? He mentioned a generation ago, right? He said the Queen of England vacated a generation ago.
A generation ago.
So, I mean, it could have been, what, 20, 30 years ago? Is that the
generation would be, my mother's generation would be 70, 80 years ago.
70, 80 years ago. So we don't have a date as to when this really happened yet. So is this part of what you all are, investigating currently and trying to find out more about?
Well, really, Her Majesty, the Queen in Right of New Zealand, was registered in 1934.
Registered in 1934. Wow. So there's the answer.
There's the answer.
1934. So since 1934, gosh, this is almost 100 years later, isn't it?
Exactly, a generation.
Huge deception.
other people with authority have asked. Shauna Alliance, who is the Chief Justice of New Zealand, does the New Zealand Parliament assume its authority by means of a constitution unwritten? They don't have a constitution. This Parliament in New Zealand does not have a constitution. The only living constitution in Aotearoa is He Wakaputanga, 1835, which is the first document that ever landed on our lands, and it's still alive today. And I actually brought it forth into our space.
And that is something from the tribes of New Zealand, right? That's from the Crown and the tribes. And this is before that Treaty of Waitangi in 1840.
That's the true Crown.
It precedes it, yeah.
Yes.
So that's the true Crown. So, wow, how does that make you feel, Lady Crown? Are you all the only Crown standing then in New Zealand? They wouldn't let you in the country because they knew that.
Yeah, they knew.
And can I just add as well, if we want to look at this from the corporate perspective, from the corporation side of things, Lady Crown is actually a national of New Zealand. So essentially, they haven't even just gone above those rulings. They've actually gone within their construct and broken their own rulings, because
they've broken their own.
Yes.
It's treason. Treason against the Crown of the Māori Nation to not allow me to come back into my country. We're the treaty partner of the treaty. We are the only Crown in New Zealand.
It's probably too early. I don't know when exactly all of these events transpired, Lady Crown. Maybe that's something you want to tell us. I was going to ask, does Jacinda Ardern and the government of New Zealand, do they know about this? Have you been able to write to them currently?
Today's today.
Today's the 12th.
Thursday and Friday.
Saturday. Okay.
Correct.
9th and 10th. Wow.
Thursday the 10th, if I'm correct.
Oh, 10th and 11th, but Thursday and Friday. Got it. Yeah, today's the 12th.
The 10th of December, Friday the 11th of December.
2020.
And Saturday, our people gathered when they found out. They had a meeting, and they all got they were all alerted to the fact and the truth. They all realised they'd all been duped, and they started to activate as Crown and actually put forward a declaration, a judgment against the government.
And her signature is on the document.
And what it's basically saying is stating the facts that we're sharing with you now, that the Queen Elizabeth is no longer a defender of the faith, never was. And the Governor-General stated that clearly. When it states in their documents that she's a defender of the faith, well, it's not true. And they do not swear an oath, so they're going against their own constitution or their own constitutional act. Therefore, this declaration that has been written and is now getting thumbprinted and autographed by all the Crown that is standing, the final passage, which is probably the most important passage, and I'll read it to you, is: we assert the remedy for the presumed Her Majesty the Queen in right of New Zealand, any and all derivatives, appellations, and like as well all agents, agencies, ministers, police commissioner, constables, judges, justice of the peace, regal and vice-regal, and all under secretaries or civilians, and any person commissioned by the same, that the demise of the Crown of England is now dead. We assert and direct that the presumed actors of Her Majesty the Queen in right of New Zealand Company transfer all the functions, duties, powers, authorities, rights, privileges, and dignitaries belonging to the Crown of England and the Crown of the Māori Nation to the only successor standing, the Crown of the Māori Nation.
Now that is in the document. Anyway, now to some clips from the interview.
Our police are going to arrest these people and put them in jail, and we're going to have and I think the military must take over for a while. And we'll have military tribunals, because obviously the higher people in the courts, our Chief Justice, she's seen this for sure. And I'd like to see her deny it. She should be questioned in a military tribunal at least, because they've got to hold one for these ones who've signed up.
That is Auckland lawyer Liz M. Lambert on the Liberty Channel. Liz, tell us what you have in your possession. That's something that's been leaked to you.
I have a declaration in order, and it's to Her Majesty the Queen and Right of New Zealand, with a securities number from the US Securities Commission. And the address it's been delivered to in one instance is number 1, the Terraces, the National Provident Building, Wellington, New Zealand, and also, and that's the address of the Treasury. It was also taken to Government House, and it was also taken to the Prime Minister's office. Now, it's leaked because it's not generally known that it even happened. And it is the reason that we've got a very strange situation where suddenly the government seems to be being run by Maori and for Maori. And we are being told that we're not a country called New Zealand, but a country called Aotearoa. Yeah, they did. Yep. So then there must have been an answer back, and then we don't get that, but Gregory Bourne then says, Crown of England was what was here at the time of the colony in 1840, and there hasn't been a Crown of England for the last generation. So...
How long's a generation?
Yeah, according to Lady Crown, it's about 80 years.
Well, I don't know, because first they're saying that it was after the Queen died. Victoria.
That's about 2 generations, isn't it? Since then, since she died.
A good 2 generations.
At least 2.
Yeah. So they can't seem to quite make up their mind about when they weren't a treaty partner anymore. And then Alistair says, well, you're saying that the partner, the 50-50 partner, that the English Crown is no longer here? Have they vacated? And Gregory says, that's true. We no longer have our sovereignty held by the Queen of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, now folks, you won't be surprised to hear the names involved with this document.
Then we get to the page that I think is the most interesting of the whole lot, because on one side we've got Michael Stace signs again, and these are all on the 22nd of the 12th, so it's all done on one day. Then we've got Michelle Jeanette Hood, we've got Paula Ludwicki, we've got someone called I can't quite make out that name. Then we've got Tiahine Wharekura Kingi, who is and she was sidekick to Billy Tikahika in the what you call it party, NZPP party.
Yeah.
And of course Michael Stace was his sidekick as well. Michael Stace, if they had got elected, they've got party vote, then Michael Stace and known to the police, it was with many other names, and people like Billy TK and I don't think Tiahine was a candidate, but they'd be running the show, jumping up and down like the Maori Party is at the moment.
Right.
So, and we've got somebody called Kumuroa, because they've got. You can't quite read it because I've got these thumbprints over the top. There's somebody, I think so Vicky Odell is the other person. And then we've got the most important, in my view, is how the government has reacted to this. So we've got Anthea Williams, Treasury solicitor, right? Now, she's a real person.
And
She
she
doesn't
signed?
have some. Yes, she is signed.
That's her
She
signature.
signed on the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got Gregory Bourne, which was the guy who's the Governor General's private secretary, and he signed and full. And then we've got an initial for the Prime Minister's office of JC. Now, at first glance, it's like, who's JC? But if you know that Jacinda Ardern's other name, or name that she seems to be using in this case, is Krisky, C-R-I-S-C-I is how you spell it.
C-R-I-S...
C-I.
Krisky, what does that mean?
That's a family name that could be claimed by her father and uncle,
Okay.
because their father was not Jacinda's grandfather. I don't know what his first name was, George, I think, or something like that. Ardern. There was the twins. They are were not his children, but they've been brought up as Ardern and they've taken that name. But Krisky is also associated with a New York crime family, so that bears a lot of further investigation. So that's the whole document.
Yeah, all the normal suspects are involved.
That actually hands over our country
to a group of Maoris.
Yeah, to the
Three Maoris, really, isn't it? And an American ex-con.
Yeah, anyway, now to the document. Now, folks, I've posted a link to the original document in the description below. It is now available for all to see, but it wasn't when Liz got it. Now, it's a good idea to have this document available when you listen to Liz and Grant discuss it. It just makes it easier. Anyway, I'll scroll down slowly and you can pause it as you wish. Now, this is the part that Lady Crown talks about. Here now, folks, I hope you listen to the entire interview. It's really important to know what's going on in our country. So please click one of the links below.